After the general negativity towards the inaugural LEGOCON 2021 show, it naturally came as a surprise that LEGO chose to bring it back. It was clear there was potential to be had at the initial event, and the hope was that the second event would work things out, making it worth watching. Shooting for an age range between 8 and 12, the initial event ended up ranging from a general audience to just straight up preschool hour. Acting like video was this glorious success after a terrifying start was just icing on the cake. A lot of the event was geared towards making awesome reveals. The only issue is that those reveals had already released in most countries, and those that hadn't abruptly showed up earlier that week without ceremony, belittling the intent of making a surprising reveal in the first place. Truly, a lot needed to be worked on from the 2021 LEGOCON event in order to make it be something everyone can get behind. And I can confidently say that the 2022 event is getting there. Let's dive into how I felt about the whole event. We'll go over my thoughts on the sets that were revealed too. An issue that plagued the 2021 show was a script filled with awkward moments that would make anyone of any age wince, and while the 2022 show wasn't completely devoid of that, it was not nearly as bad. This is completely belittled by the fact that late edition host Joel McHale does what he does best by going off script, either landing the super rare funny joke or spitting out some deprecating spout about either himself or one of his co-hosts, one of whom gets targeted by a majority of them, making most of their interactions extremely awkward. The constant bringing up of LEGO Dimensions got stale, and the opener about LEGO's leak issues was not cool.
Well, unless they've already been leaked online, so let me just check since we've come on air. Yeah, almost 4.
4?
Yeah.
The former thing was something being brought up by co-host Big Hope most of the time, who, despite likely being forced to bring the whole LEGO Dimensions thing up, she manages to roll well with Joel's comments, and seems to have been the only one managing to express genuine enthusiasm overall, despite the script. Melvin O'Doom is the only returning host, handling most of the goings-on away from the main stage, many of which clearly existed to pull us away from there for time while they reset it. This included hosting a news headline segment that was more an overarching commercial for Mindstorms and reiterating information that was already public, besides a reveal or two, which we'll get to later. Another something he hosted was a timed build done by LEGO Masters contestants from around the world, a birthday cake in celebration of LEGO's 90th anniversary. This was another means to pull us away from the main stage, but rather than offering something of interest, most of it was watching the contestants, exasperated, clearly not wanting to be interviewed, getting a camera shoved in their faces, taking their focus away from their build. Not that they built much, as a lot of what was on the final build were clearly pre-made LEGO sets from over the years, which only sullied the experience of those who were watching purely for new information, as these build segments completely killed the momentum of the whole show, and usually during peak moments of excitement all throughout. Sprinkled in were pre-recorded segments that also took away from the flow of the event. Some, however, were more informative interviews with people behind the IPs that LEGO works with, of which were very interesting and were quite enjoyable. Some even featured adult fan artists showing off their craft, and honestly, I would have replaced most of these segments with stuff like that. Those considered professionals as well as those who are hobbyists, please. Other segments were reused older videos with fresh voiceover that went on way too long for their own good. Ones that were just trying to ensure that everything was present, not realizing that these segments actually needed to have substance. Technic and the collectible minifigure segments serve as great examples. To add insult to injury, and while I'm thinking about it, only 3 of the total minifigs were revealed within that segment. Not the most thrilling showing. Ironically, the landing page for LEGOCON after the event showed off the entire collectible series in full, despite the LEGO Shop website only showing the 3 revealed at LEGOCON. Clearly, no communication was made on how to handle this. Those of these pre-recorded segments that were intended to be big reveals were extremely anticlimactic, or were so heavily scripted that it would have honestly been best just showing off the sets live, or not showing them at all. Some sets that were quite exciting to see after the fact. The reveal of the Galactic Explorer was one such segment, seeming to be opened by the wrong cue, by having the following reveals presenter on stage before their time. Neither were as bad as the LEGO Avatar segment, the most padded segment of the show, as not only did they have a pointless interview with the franchise's producer, not his fault, but they also show a scene of the movie to remind us of what the movie's vibrant locales were like, considering most of us who saw it forgot right after we finished watching it. This was followed by a set from the theme finally getting its official debut, after distributing images to their retail partners spoiled the fun. This was something that could have been avoided if they just waited a week to open pre-order pages for it, saying so at the event, and then distributing said images after said event. But here we are. Thanks to that, none of the segment landed in any meaningful way. The official Avatar social media hyping up LEGOCON when it was still a mystery as to what was being revealed certainly didn't help. There were some pre-recorded segments that were fantastic, however, purely due to the enthusiasm of our hosts for those segments. One was a spoiler-riddled Ninjago segment showing off a trailer for the second portion of the current show season, Ninjago Crystallized, even revealing that it's the grand finale of the current narrative they've been developing. Precisely the sort of thing that Ninjago fans would be looking for if there's no sets to show off. This segment was opened by Ninjago's senior entertainment manager, Tommy Andreasen, who is an energetic international treasure that we are so incredibly lucky to have for Ninjago's veritable caretaker as the years have gone on. We love that you love Ninjago as much as we do, Tommy, truly. Another was the one from Minecraft, showing off a team build using both Lego brick and the Minecraft game itself, merging both mediums into one. All involved seemed to love what they were doing. This was sandwiched by segments featuring Minecraft game director Agnes Larson, who has such an infectious passion and joy for what she's working on. It's no wonder they work so well with Lego. Two new sets that we definitely hadn't seen before were shown off, on top of a new poll for us to choose a minifig design we could see in a future set. The poll was a returning segment from last year's LEGOCON that got some of the best praise. The Super Mario Character Pack Series 5 segment was also very energetic and got excellent shots of the product during it, something the Galactic Explorers segment, for instance, was extremely lacking in. To top it off, LEGO Star Wars designer Cesar Suarez showed us a pre-recorded inside look at where LEGO Star Wars sets are designed, arguably one of LEGO's most well-kept quiet areas of their innovation house, with so much enthusiasm. This might be the most positive showing of the LEGO Star Wars team in years, after several instances where it felt as if there had been a disconnect between them and fans. We get a look inside at how they operate in a humorous and energetic way. Energy is what the fans' perspective of that design team needed. Following it up with reveals of Star Wars sets only made it better. In fact, most of the on-stage reveal segments that didn't have video padding were all quite good, if not having some shaky camera work. I want to know the LEGO Friends one, as all they did was show off previously revealed sets, but in doing so, they also interviewed the designers. This on top of showing new animated content for the theme as well. Would have loved to have insightful interviews of current waves from designers from themes like Monkey Kid and Ninjago like this as well, personally. One final issue I had with the event is forcing the hosts to play, or act like they built something they clearly didn't, and no matter how on or off script they were, couldn't fool anyone. Best to just avoid it in the future. If this were on TV, people would change the channel to watch something else until you had something to show. Pacing was what plagued the whole event, as most people were there for the reveals, and if you're going for that angle, padding it out with stuff that isn't entertaining or informative is just gonna make people discouraged to stay. Live builds are neither of those things, by the way. Yes, building is in the core of LEGO. Viewers can do that on their own time, and don't have to be subjected to it passively in an event like this. There are ways to figure all this out, and I can only encourage the teams behind that to strive for them for LEGOCON 2023. Overall, I give the event a 7.5 out of 10. It far exceeded my expectations, but there's more to work on. If you're curious how I felt about the revealed sets, the Sanctum Sanctorum is a beautiful addition to the modular building-like sub-theme LEGO Marvel Superheroes had going for it, and I hope to see even more in the future. Interior features really sell it, as the minifigs, despite being iconic, have qualities that are good, that are cancelled out by attributes that are subpar. Excluding characters from the first Doctor Strange movie is an oversight, personally. The FC Barcelona Go Brickety Brickhead set is such a shock, and I don't mean that in a good way. I worked at a LEGO store during several of their recent soccer/football releases, and there was no enthusiasm for them whatsoever. Pretty sure the US is not the primary market for sets based on it, so that might be a contributing factor. Add to the fact that the original Go Brick Me might have been one of the slowest brickhead sets to move ever, and there were several duds, makes me wonder why this set even exists in the first place. The Galactic Explorer is a reimagining of perhaps the most iconic classic space set, and my goodness, I'm in love with it. I personally have been waiting for a classic space revival set like this for some time, so it's right up my alley. Hope it sparks more like it in the future. Apparently this set has alternate builds that are different sizes that were shown off at LEGOCON. I'm hard pressed which of these 90 years of playsets I love more, as the Royal Knight's castle is just more stuff of dreams for me. The set was chosen based on a fan vote where we got to choose what theme the set would be based off of. So glad it was the choice, as the sheer size of it, all the details and display options are just so incredible. Not to mention the insane number of minifigs. The reveal for the collectible minifigs was bumpy, and the characters are cute, but costume character series have never done much for me outside of Series 14 all those years ago. This follows suit, no pun intended, especially upon realizing this could have been a throwback series of minifigs over the ages in celebration of 90 years. But no. Toruk Mokto in the Tree of Souls is drop dead gorgeous. The minifigs are a blemish on its beauty and are very strange. Who is this set for, by the way? The box says 12+, but I've never seen anyone over the age of 15 who cares about Avatar, let alone enough to shell out $150 on it. Sheesh. You'd think if it was supposed to be accessible to kids, they'd make it more affordable. I'm of the crowd that LEGO Minecraft has not done any wrong for several years now, and even more sets have shown up, proving the point further. These sets are colorful, interesting, and filled with referential goodies, using the only toy where you can replicate what you do in the game, and it does a lot lot for it. The floral art LEGO art is pretty neat, but why go for something like that instead of going for one of the more affordable options that are a part of the LEGO Icons Botanical Collection? Some people do like wall art of flowers. They aren't for me. Super Mario character packs are the highlights of the theme for me, so to see such amazing characters be introduced fuels me. They're bigger, at $1 increase per pack. Acceptable, if these weren't going to be in blind boxes from here on out. I can see the enthusiasm decrease for these, like the blind boxes did for the rapidly cancelled LEGO video theme. And it's such a disappointment to even consider that, especially if the day comes where we won't have these anymore due to that. It's surely not interest in the IP that's at fault. For Star Wars, I personally have been waiting for an ATTE, as I've never owned one before, and what better a one to get than one that comes with the long-demanded minifig of Commander Cody. Cad Bane's ship, the Justifier, is functionally impressive, visually interesting, yet extremely lacking in minifigures. This comes in contrast to the aforementioned ATTE that has nearly double the minifigs for $30 less at $140. Yeah, that's right, Cad Bane's ship is $170, nearly double the cost of any set its size for most other themes, and it being Star Wars does not justify it, as plenty of sets its size have been priced far less. It begins to ask how kids are going to even afford these if they're the target audience. Not a nice thing to see from pre-established themes, let alone new themes like Avatar following this grim trend. Price increases were inevitable with inflation, but this is ridiculous. All in all, LEGOCON has certainly given us a lot to look forward to. I'm curious what you think though. Do you think they did better with this year's LEGOCON? You could let me know what you thought, as well as what your favorite reveal was down in the comments. While you're down there, you can give this video a like, which recommends it to other people, and you can subscribe too. You can also hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live. Anyways, I've been Penn, and I'll see you next time.